Hey guys, it's Drew from The More You Nerd, back again to talk about the Ouya, especially now that we've gotten it out of the box and we've gotten a little time to play with it. So let's take a look at our main screen here. This is the Ouya launch page, and you've got your name up here in the corner, and you've got your different categories. Oh, and there's a cursor, because your little Ouya controller has this little touch point, which has a cursor, which is kind of awesome and kind of unnecessary at the same time. And you can go through with the D-pad or the controller sticks, and I'm just going to go to the Manage section because this thing looks pretty cool. It's got a lot of cool noises it makes. It's a nice gradient image. It looks like they put a lot of polish into the overall design of the thing, but that polish is pretty much skin deep, because if you go deep enough into any systems, you've suddenly got your Android operating system. This is not a bad thing. But you know that Android is there running everything in the background. Well, I do want to stop on this page for a second just to talk about one major problem that I have with the Ouya and that you may have with the Ouya. I'm running this on a 720p television right now, and you may not be able to see it in the video, but all the way over here, everything's just slightly cut off. There's a lot of overscan issues, and things are just kind of cropped just a little bit in on all sides. And you don't notice it everywhere. You don't notice it on the system page or any of the other pages, but you notice it in a few games, and you notice it in any of your Android-based menus. Ouya has put on their website a lot of ways to get around these issues with TV settings and things like that, but my TV didn't have those settings to adjust, so I'm just kind of stuck. Luckily though, when I plugged this into my 1080p TV, did not have any of the issues that I've talked about. So your mileage may vary on that. And again, this is all software stuff, so who knows what happens when it actually gets released, because this is still pre-release product. So let's jump into Discover. This is your app store. This is where you're going to get all of your new games. And they've got them broken down into different categories, like staff picks and favorites and genres. But I do want to talk about the sandbox, because I had to look this up. Apparently the sandbox is where every new game goes. And then Ouya tracks how long people are actually playing these games, how many people are downloading them, how many people are liking them, and then it routes them into different categories. It's kind of a weird system, and I'm not sure I get it, just because, I don't know, it seems cool, but it also seems like if your app stays in sandbox too long, that might be a bad thing, and maybe a little discouraging for developers, but only time will tell. So let's jump into some of the categories, some of the genres. You've got pinball, platformer, and it crashed! So let's see if we can get back in there. So we go back into genres. And over here on the right, you get a little preview of all of these little images over here. Now, I have done this a lot today. When I first started out, these were a lot of gray blocks that had to fill in. But they do cache, so they're pretty quick right now. It's a little sluggish as I go through, but it's not anything that I wouldn't expect from any kind of smartphone or any kind of device like that. Not as fast as a Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, but it's definitely livable. So let's take a look at the way that some of these apps are laid out. So we'll use Final Fantasy 3, because it's one of the biggest ones that's out in the Ouya store right now. So you've got your play, because I've already got this downloaded over here, otherwise that'd be download. And right here, I don't know if you can read that, that's the number of likes, the number of people that have said, yes, I like this app. And you can go over and take a look at some screenshots. Well, let's see what happens when I press my circle button to select a screenshot. Nothing seems to happen. I'm not sure why that's the case. What's the point of these screenshots if you can't zoom into them? Because there's 9 screenshots here, and I can't see anything larger than a postage stamp. You've also got this little block of text up here, and you'll notice that part of it's cut off. Well, that's because I have to actually get up here to highlight the description, and then I can use my stick to read the rest. It looks cool on the surface, but the second you kind of dig into it, it's the holes in the way that it operates will start to show. So let's back out and talk about one last thing with the store, and that's the search function, which if you see down here, you press the Y button on the Ouya, and you can kind of go through and search for stuff. This is another oddity. I've searched for stuff and I've found it in the search, but I haven't found it just looking through the store. So there doesn't seem to be an overall database of things. It looks like it has most stuff and potentially all stuff, but I just don't know how stuff's broken down well enough yet to say that there is an A to Z list somewhere that you could get, because I definitely don't think that's there. Other than that, there's, like a lot of stuff with the Ouya, a lot of promise, a lot of really cool ideas, but not a lot of proof of concept yet. So let's jump out and actually look at some of the games that we've got. We do that in our play section. And you've got a number of different things. Now the first thing I'll say is that everything you download in the Ouya is free, but it's only free to a point. For example, Final Fantasy III, that game we talked about earlier. I downloaded that for free on the Ouya, but when you launch it, it's $15.99 to actually buy the full thing. And I haven't actually gotten far enough into it to know exactly how much you're going to get with that. Same thing is said for like Cannibald, which is a very well-known smartphone and tablet app. You only have a certain number of runs that you can do. It's a free-running jumping app. So I think I can do that 5 times a day unless I buy the app. So a lot of this is, it's kind of like demos. You know, you download the demo or shareware back in the day, if anybody actually remembers shareware. Although I could definitely see this being free to play, and if you guys have listened to the show, you know how I feel about the free to play model going crazy. But let's look at Flash Out 3D, because this is one of the more 3D intense games graphically. We'll do a race. And here we go. All right, I'm racing. Look at me go. Except I'm in last place and I don't like to lose on the air. So I want to quit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit my Ouya button. And wouldn't you know it, I get a menu. And I don't know if you guys can see my finger down here. There is a whole bar of text that I can't see because it's completely cut off. I don't know if there's a quit race or whatever, but if I hit my Ouya button, that's about all it does. So if little trick, save you some time, if you hold down the Ouya button, it kicks you back to the main screen. Not every app has an easy way to quit it, which is kind of a pain. Some do, some don't. But again, I feel like these are kinks that are going to get worked out as more and more people are actually developing for this system. So just kind of wrapping up, the Ouya, and I've really only had about a day to really play with it. I was a Kickstarter backer, so I've been waiting for this thing for a long time, but I've never really been sure about what I'm going to get. And I think this is really promise, but there's not a lot that's been executed yet. It's still pre-release. It's not released to the public yet. I think we've got another couple of weeks, possibly into next month. And E3 is this week, so we'll hopefully see a lot more out there. And again, a lot of the problems that I have with the system are software-based and could easily be taken care of with 1 or 2 software updates. So with that said, purchase with caution. It's fun. It's relatively inexpensive, especially when you compare it to a lot of the other consoles that are coming out this year. I'm glad I have it, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it yet. So until next time, guys, check us out at themoreyounerd.com and nerd out!